In this video, I'm going to review several different tools that allow you to modify objects. So I mentioned in the previous lesson the scale and the rotate tools. So right here I'm in my selection tool and I'm going to click on an object. You always have to click on an object before you can do anything to it. So to scale, you go to the corner and you see these two arrows. And then if you hold shift, you can scale proportionally. If you don't hold shift, you can scale freely. You can also rotate, and that also is activated by going to the corner. And this rotate tool has this kind of U-shaped with the two arrows on the end. And here you can rotate just like moving your mouse kind of around in a circle. And if you hold shift, you can kind of snap to different 90-degree incremental angles. The main tool that we'll use for modifying shapes is the direct select tool. And the direct select tool allows us to select specific points on an object. So if I click on this object with the direct select tool, I can see that all four corners are blue. All four of these points are blue, which means they are all selected. If I go here and just click on one corner, I see that that corner is blue and the other ones are white. The white points, they are not selected. Only the blue ones are selected. So because I have this singular point selected, I can now modify that point. And I can do that by dragging with my mouse, or I can use my arrow keys to kind of move in and out. And this kind of allows for more refined movement. We can also add anchor points, or these blue points here called anchor points. We can also add those to objects. So if you go to the pen tool here and you hold down, you can find the add anchor point tool. You can see that this is the add anchor point tool because it looks like the pen tool, but it has a plus sign. If I click anywhere kind of like along the edge of this object, I can add a point. I can add another point right there. So this adds points. And then I can go in with my direct select tool and modify them. And this kind of allows me to create more complex shapes. I can also delete anchor points. So maybe I have one too many. I go here to my pen tool and go to the delete anchor point tool. And I can go in and I can click. See, if you don't actually click on the anchor point and you accidentally click on the handlebar, it will give you that message. So that's something that kind of happens a lot. But there, I clicked on the point and now I don't have that point anymore. Another tool is the anchor point tool. And this tool allows you to convert a point that is between two straight lines to a curved point. So that gives us those curves that we can modify. And with this anchor point tool, you just click and drag out on that point and it will start activating these handlebars. If you hold shift, it kind of gives you a little more snappier control over the handlebars. And then with the direct select tool, you can grab your handlebars and make modifications that way. Another tool I want to share with you is called the arc tool. So I have this square selected here, and you'll notice in every corner that there are these little round circles, and that is the arc tool. You see as I hover over them, you see this little arc next to my selection tool. And what the arc tool does, it allows you to make a sharp corner into a rounded corner. So you can define a radius to a corner. There's a couple ways to use this tool. The first way is to just simply click and release on one of these circles. So I double clicked here and this panel pops up. Under here we have rectangle properties. This is the width, the height. We have the ability to rotate it here. And then we have these corner options. So we have the top left, top right, bottom right corners. And where it says 0 here is where you can input a radius for the corner. So if I click here, and I'm using my arrow key just to increase, I'm adding a radius to this top left corner. If I click this one here, that represents the bottom right corner, and I use my arrow key, I can also add a radius to that. You'll see here that this identifies the corner type. If I click that, there are other options to kind of have an inverted round corner or a chamfer. And so I can make more adjustments by using these different options. And so you can create some interesting shapes this way. So that's one way to make changes to a rectangle using the arc tool. I'm going to draw another one real quick, another rectangle for you, just so you can also see. There's an easy way to change all four corners at once. So if I just click here and I pull, so I'm holding my mouse down, I haven't released yet, and I'm just pulling and dragging. And this is kind of activating the arc tool equally on all four corners. If I want to change any of these corners, I can click on the corner and I can make changes to that specific corner that way. So that's another way to use the arc tool, which allows you to modify corners. The next tool I want to show you is called the scissors tool. And the scissors tool allows you to slice an object in half or in more than one piece. The scissors tool is located over here. It will be under the eraser tool. So if you hold down and you'll see the scissors tool, the shortcut is also C. So I have this activated here. And I'm going to click on this circle kind of at a diagonal. So I've kind of sliced through it from here to here. It looks the same right now, but if I grab my direct select tool and I click here, I can see that this has been cut. If I give it a stroke, you'll see that this has cut the object into two lines. So this isn't quite an object, even though when it's filled, it looks like it is. So to close the object, I'll need to go to my path or my pen tool and click one corner here and then meet at the next corner there. And you'll see the round, the little circle there pop up. Now it's a closed object. So you'll usually want to close your objects unless you're trying to just draw a line. So I also want to talk about another way to delete segments or to divide your shapes, and that is by selecting segments. So if I go to my direct select tool and I click on this circle here, you'll see that there are 4 different points. A segment is the distance between 2 different points. So if I click on the edge of this path here, you'll see that these handlebars have popped up. And that means I have this segment, so the distance between this point and this point selected. I can select another segment by holding down Shift and clicking in between here and here and here. Now I have 2 segments selected. So you can select segments and you can delete them by just selecting them and then hitting delete on your keyboard. Now I've deleted half of that circle. So that's kind of another way to slice it. I will say this isn't perfect because it's left a little remnant of a point right here. It's just a lone point. If I use my direct select tool and kind of select over it, it's invisible, but it's not a very good way to draw by leaving it on there. So I'm just going to delete that there. And once again, this is not an object. This is a line because it is not closed. There's a beginning and an end point. And so to create a proper half circle, I'm going to use my pen tool and I'm going to click one point to begin and then the second point to close it off. You see the circle and now it is a closed object, a proper half circle here. Now there's one more trick I wanted to show you, and that is using a tool called the Pathfinder tool. So a lot of you had questions when drawing your clipping mask about like what do you do if there's a little piece inside an object that you also want to have cut out. So here I've trimmed her silhouette out, but let's say I wanted this bit between the arm and the waist to also be cut out. There is a way to do that, and I'm going to show you right now using the Pathfinder tool. First, I want to release this clipping mask, so I'm going to click on it. I'm going to right click or control click, and I'm going to click Release Clipping Mask. And that allows me to see the photo and then also the original silhouette that I've drawn, the original object here. I'm going to click on that object and I'm going to fill it with a color for now, just like we did when we were drawing it the first time. For now, I'm going to give it a stroke, make it a stroke, just so I can see this interior bit. So what I want to do now is I want to draw the shape that I want to have cut out. So I'm going to draw this shape and the shape that I want to have cut out. I'm going to select my pen tool. I'm going to make sure I have a different color so I can see. So I'll give it a light blue, and I'm going to start drawing. So I'm just going to draw this in really roughly. I'm clicking, I'm dragging, I'm creating anchor points, creating curves. I'm using straight lines, and I've just closed that object. And I've switched that around. I have a fill in it now. And then if I go to my pen tool, I can do the same over here. And you can kind of hear my mouse. It's pretty loud, and you can have an idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so now I have two objects there, and then I have my original object that I'm going to switch back to a fill. What the Pathfinder tool does, it has several different modes, but the mode we are going to use will essentially take these objects, these light blue objects, which are in front, they're on top of the dark blue object, and it will subtract them from the dark blue object. So what is on top will be subtracted from the back. And that might sound confusing, but it will make more sense here in a second when I show you. So to find the Pathfinder tool, you'll need to go to Window, Pathfinder, and this pops up. And this is under Shape Modes. It's the second from the left. It's called minus front. So it says Option click to create a compound shape and subtract from shape area. So we are subtracting from a shape area. So first I want to select all three of these objects. So I clicked one, I'm holding down Shift on my keyboard, I'm clicking the other one, and I'm clicking the dark blue object. Now all I have to do is go to this minus front in the Pathfinder tool, and it subtracted those objects in the front from the back, and I have the exact shape I want of the silhouette of this woman. Now I can create my clipping mask again by selecting this object, holding down Shift, selecting the picture. I can go over here to the right to create a clipping mask. I can go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make, or I can right click, Make Clipping Mask. And now I have a perfect silhouette, and I don't have those little annoying bits on the inside there. So I hope that answers some of your questions.